So, Superior Spider-Man from my Dan Slott is fair analysis. So, the Superior Spider-Man, Doc Ock becoming Spider-Man. My one had 798 and all that, or sorry, 698 all the way up to 700, and then 2 filler comics, and then the first 5 Superior Spider-Man comics. And it is written by Dan Slott, and I like it. I do like it. Let's get into it, I guess. So start off, Peter's talking about my luck's finally changing. We see like an Octobot like crawling out of a river, and that's kind of nothing really much to note about in this. Although he gets a call from the Avengers because Doc Ock is dying in the prison where all his supervillains are kept, and so Doc Ock's dying. Peter goes to visit him, and it's very off. There's something off about Peter when he talks to Doc Ock, because all of a sudden he's just like, I am Peter Parker, and you are Otto Octavius. And then he leaves, and he's with the Avengers, and that's where it kind of ends. And you're like, what's going on? In the next issue, and it turns out, and Doc Ock is asking for Peter Parker. He's going, Peter Parker, just asking for Peter Parker. And of course, we see Doc Ock with Mary Jane, and she like, I think they're going to get it on. You know what I'm saying? And she opens the shirt, and she's like, "What the fuck, Peter?" And then he's like, "What? What's wrong?" And he has the Spider-Man thing underneath, and that's kind of, we get a little taste of what it's going to be like. And then he does this little plan thing where he's going to leave New York because Peter Parker and Doc Ock's body actually escapes with one of Doc Ock's plans. He does all the, I'm doing a real breeze over this because I want to get through this, but basically he escapes, he wants his body back. Doc Ock knows this and goes to get a plane. Of course, gets a plane ticket, and it's like, oh, okay, I'm actually going to go back and help. He's like, I can't really explain it. I don't really want to explain it because I really want you guys to read it, but he is like, oh crap, I've got to go back. So he goes back, and you see very, very different. He's willing to risk people's lives, and he kind of trying to prove, like, convince people that he is Peter Parker, like as if he's trying to convince himself that he's Spider-Man. But anyway, skip over a few things. Carly thinks that Doc Ock, who's Peter at this time, Peter in Doc Ock's body, she thinks it's Doc Ock, and she goes to shoot him, and the other moves to protect Doc Ock, and it ricochets off and shoots Carly. And then he's like, no, and stuff like that. And then I'm breezing over more stuff again, and we get to Avengers Tower. That's where Doc Ock is with Scorpion and Hydro. I think it's Hydro Man, is it? I cannot remember, guys. I'm sorry. Hydro Man, and they're there at Avengers Tower, and then he's like, where is everyone? Because he's gone there to get help and tell them about Doc Ock and what he's done. And Doc Ock is there in Peter's body, and he's like, yeah, no, I'm stopping you guys. And he kind of risks Aunt May and all Peter's family's safety, but Doc Ock quickly realizes something. When he punches Scorpion, he realizes Peter has been holding back this whole time, because when he punches Scorpion, he takes his jaw right off. And that's when he's like, oh shit, you've been going easy on us all these years. And then Peter's just like, no. And he grabs him and he throws him out the window, like with himself. And he's like, okay, we're both gonna die here. But of course, Doc stops it. And then in the last effort, Peter gives him all his memories so he can understand why Peter does these things, and it kind of works. And at the end, we see that Doc swears that he will become the superior Spider-Man. And that's it. That is the end of the 700th issue. Now, another thing I did not mention earlier is, because I wanted to kind of talk about a little bit more here, is that Peter actually has he dies in Doc Ock's body, goes to heaven, because heaven exists in the 616 universe, and he meets Gwen, and he meets all of them. He meets everyone he feels like he's failed, and everyone close that's died. And he's like, oh my god, I'm so sorry. And then it's like, and then he runs into Uncle Ben, and Uncle Ben's like, I'm sorry, you're not at rest, you can't stay here. And then Peter's like, oh my god, it's because I didn't save you, it's because I'm responsible for this. And you kind of have this heartfelt moment with the two of them. And then Uncle Ben's like, no, it's not that. It's like, it's not that at all. You cannot let Doc Ock go around in your body, you have to stop him, he's a madman. And Peter's just like, oh, okay, I understand. And Ben is just kind of talking to him like, you are Spider-Man. And slowly we see that he's kind of growing up in heaven. Like, first off, he starts off as nerdy, then he's like, as we see him now, and then he's in a Spider-Man costume, and Uncle Ben puts the mask on him, and he wakes back up. Then the filler issues. First filler issue is about kind of like a possible future. He's got very confused about his enemies. He's mixed them up. Essentially, it's kind of like this guy. He thinks he's Spider-Man, or he is Spider-Man. I have no idea. It's not very clear. But anyway, he's Spider-Man. He used to be Spider-Man, and him and his grandson are growing apart. And he's like, you can really see where it's an awful lot like when Peter lost Uncle Ben. And he goes through it all, and he basically says to his grandson, eventually I chose family because there are about 1 million other superheroes that could deal with these guys, and I have a family. So he chose the responsibility of his family, which is huge because he abandoned the responsibility left to him that Uncle Ben kind of told him, like, with great power comes great responsibility. Well, Uncle Ben didn't tell it to him, but he kind of understand. He abandons that thing where I have powers, I have to use them. He abandons it. And anyway, he finishes off his stories, and his grandson's like, yeah, I kind of believe you. He's not quite sold on it. And then he knocks on his bedroom window, and he's like stuck to the side of the wall, and they go swinging off into the city. And that's the end of that. And then there's the other filler issue is like a crayon drawing, and it's like, it's meant for kids, and it's, I don't know, it's called Date Night, and I just don't like it at all. Like, it was just kind of like, it's filler. It's typical filler. It's just boring, it's bland. And there's not much to say about it. It's just a black cat going around. Oh no, I swear I'm not going to do anything. I'm not going to steal anything. And then she doesn't. He just runs into a few Marvel couples and stuff. And that's that. And then, oh, hi Spidey, blah blah blah. Let's go on a date, whatever. But then we get to the Superior Spider-Man issues. We notice that Doc Ock is way different to Peter. He makes robots to do his work for him. He does all that stuff. He drinks a lot more than Peter. Like, he'll just drink in the middle of the day. He's very cocky. He'll let things happen. He's very tactical, and he will put people's lives in danger. And this new Sinister Six arrives, And he's like, "You're not Sinister Six. Like, you're pathetic." And he beats these like kids to a pulp, and he humiliates them, and he is actually going to kill them. And then we see Peter's ghost is like, "No, no, 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 you cannot kill them." And then we see that Peter's ghost has a bit of an influence on him. And we go on, and there's the Vulture, and he thinks Toombs is great because he's old friends with Toombs. Turns out Toombs is using children as robbers and as criminals, and then he is just like, "What the hell is going on?" And then Toombs is like, Toombs just says to Otto in Spider-Man's body, says to him, "You know this. I feed off the young." And then he kind of realizes, well, shit, I had it totally wrong. He's not a good guy after all. He's not like me. Like, of course, Otto sees himself as good, but he's like, yeah, he's not like me at all. And we see this flashback, like Otto hits they're like small little vulture things, and he hits one of them. And oh yeah, also Otto calls them midgets, and he's just like, "Oh yeah, you're using more circus freaks," basically. I'm pretty sure that's what he said. He's like, "You're using more circus freaks," and then he was like, "No, no," and then it's like, turns out the children. We see a flashback, and it's actually we see it's Otto's childhood, and Otto was beaten as a child by his father, and then he Vulture and him fly off. He gets Vulture, and earlier in the issue, there's a signal poking fun at the Spider-Man signal poking fun at the Batman signal, the Bat signal, and he turns that on, and he rams the Vulture into it, and then we just kind of see this is a very violent Spider-Man, and I know we're skipping on. Massacre escapes, and he kills a lot of people, like an unbelievable. He kills a lot of people in a shop, and eventually, and I'm just skipping over a lot of stuff here, but well, I suppose I should touch on one thing. Otto is trying to get with Mary Jane a lot, and he doesn't realize that she's in love with Peter, not in love with Otto, and he can't figure it out. But then finally, he realizes he doesn't need her because he can just masturbate to Peter's memories of her and him having sex, and that's what he does. And that is fucking disgusting. And that is so Otto. But anyway, going forward more, Massacre escapes, and this is really the only important thing. We see that when Superior Spider-Man catches up to Massacre, he's just like, "I'm having no more of this shit," and he has a gun to Massacre's head. And Massacre, he really doesn't he has no human emotions. He can just kill and not care. And then Otto's like, "I'm gonna fucking kill him." And then for the first time ever, Massacre has a feeling. He fears Spider-Man, and he's like, "Oh my god, I have a feeling," blah blah blah. He's just kind of like, "Oh my god, I'm feeling." And then Peter's ghost like, you see, Otto doesn't know Peter's ghost is there. I probably should have touched on that earlier, but Otto doesn't know Peter's ghost is there. Peter's ghost just has a little bit of influence on him, and Peter's just like, "No, Otto, don't do it. Do not do it. Look, he's fine. He's got emotions. He will never kill again." And then Otto pulls the trigger. That's where we leave off. So it really leaves us to see the darker Spider-Man who will kill. And yeah, that's it. That's Superior Spider-Man Volume 1. I like it. I really like it. Nice twist on everything. I like the way at the end I was like, "Oh, obviously Peter's going to say, what the fuck?" Like, it gave me such a shock factor. But yeah, so my recommendation for it would be, Spider-Man fan, pick it up. It's a good read anyway, so really just pick it up, read it. It's good. even buy it. So yeah, it's kind of a typical Spider-Man comic with a bit of a darker tone. But that's it. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. That's just my reading. These are all my personal opinions. And Berber!